on. I know this room is wide, and so I'm going to invite you all to, just pull everyone's attention together for a moment as you're finishing up lunch. It will be a little tricky, I know, to hear if you're speaking up from one side of the room to another with the air on and such. So I just encourage you to use your loud voices today as we go along. But welcome to the kickoff of the year together as we go and we dive deep into our training together. And so we're going to kick things off by doing some introductions, getting everyone kind of familiar and settled in. And as we go, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to pause us at any point, and we will jump in. But welcome. So my name is Kristen Stayer. Pronouns are she, her, and I am based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. And I serve as the VP of Engagement and Educator Experiences at Mizzen Education. So within Mizzen Education, we'll tell you a little bit more about Mizzen as a whole, but to talk a little bit and introduce our team members that are not here with us today, and give you a sense of who on the Mizzen team really helps to support this project of collaboration with the Flint Center for this 2.5-year endeavor. So we've been working with you all for a 1.5 years, and this next year we're excited to pull everyone into this cohort of learning together. So I am based out of Indy. Some fun facts, I have 6 kids. We're foster and adoptive parents, and so it's always chaos. 5 of them are boys, and my little 7-year-old in the middle runs us all. Like, she's in charge, right? I have a dog named Pepperjack. And my favorite coffee order is a cold brew with whole milk, which I have sitting up there right now on the table year-round. I don't care if it's a blizzard. I will drink cold brew. That's my to-go coffee order. Yes. So, introduce my colleague.
Hi, Haley Minky, she, her. I am the Community Engagement and Experiences Manager at Mizzen, which is a mouthful every single time, and you don't need to remember that, ever. But I obviously work very closely with Kristen. You might have seen me or both of us at your sites. You might have met, I know that I've met several of you already at site visits, and it's so exciting to meet everybody and have everybody in one space. We do want to recognize that we know we are missing some folks due to a bunch of reasons that they're not here. And so we will make sure that everyone gets caught up. There is a plan to get people caught up and brought into this space. We know it's a lot of people in kind of tight quarters, and that's okay. Some fun facts about me. I'm based in Minneapolis. So Kristen and I always joke that there's 3 Appolis cities in the US, and we have 2 of the 3. And we always travel together. So it's always like Indianapolis and Minneapolis as a mouthful, and there's a little fun fact about us. So I live in Minneapolis, but I grew up in Texas. I lived in LA for a while. I really miss the weather in the winter. I question why I moved back to the Midwest sometimes, but it's okay. The summers make up for it, except for this summer that's very funky. I have a massive 100-pound pity rescue named Fudge. I will happily show pictures and videos of him whenever. And anyone who's been on a virtual call with me has seen him in the background. He likes to make himself known. My go-to coffee order is a quad shot latte. Typically multiple of those in a day. Like I had that this morning and I'm already on my 2nd cup. So caffeine fuels me. I love to read. I think I'm up to like 53 books on the year already. That's my favorite hobby. So anyone who has a book recommendation, please send it my way. I read a little bit of everything. And I talk a lot. You're gonna hear us talk a lot. But we offer that, and we'll introduce our other teammates here in a second, but we offer those fun facts, not just as fun facts, but as ways for you to get to know us a little bit just from the start. We know that you are coming into a new space with new people. You've not met us or seen us in this space before. And so hopefully something that we shared either resonated with you. Maybe you also have a dog, or you love being outside, or you hate the winters, or you love cold brew year round. Or maybe you heard something and you go, absolutely not. That is not for me, because our differences are just as important to name. So we also want to ask before we get started, is there anything else that you need to know about us, about our experiences, about our backgrounds, about who we are as people, to feel like you are welcome in this space? Is there anything that you're curious about or need to know about us?
Yes. Great question. Yeah. So we have both come from the youth development field. Previously, we were both working at another organization together. We kind of travel in partners now for, we always say, like, you hire one of us, you get both. But we work for After School All-Stars. It's a national organization across 18 different chapters in the US. And so we worked on the program team. And then before that, I was operating a community center really focused around food security and access, along with after-school programming and community development. So yeah, that was a little bit about my background. And then
yeah, After School All-Stars, it's an after-school program, national. So we come from the OST space. I also have done, I got my start in youth development through coaching. I coached volleyball. Took a break from it for a little bit, but can't wait to go back. It's just hard to do with a travel schedule. But that was my first passion. And then prior to that, I was in school. So I have a degree in sports psychology that focused on youth development through sports. And so that's really where I got my passion.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thanks. Obviously, ask us questions throughout. We're going to get to know one another through the next year. And so we're excited for that, to get to know you all as well.
Yeah.
So any other questions that would help you feel comfortable in the space today? Cool. All right. Cool.
All right, so then the other faces that you see on the screen are people who you probably won't necessarily meet. They're not going to be part of this in-person training team. It's going to be Kristen and I every time. But these are some of the people who help build what you experience. And so we also have Mizzen coaches who you might have seen at past site visits, or you've heard your CSDs and ELCs talk about them. So Richmond and Michael serve as coaches, so just more like leadership development. We also have these things called work groups that your CSDs and ELCs are participating in over the next year. And so they will also be working with someone named Scott. And then Carlos is our Mizzen CEO. If you've met him, you will definitely remember that you've met him because he is an Energizer bunny and just one of the best people in the world. I cannot ever speak highly enough about Carlos. But you will probably meet him at some point. I know he has severe FOMO every time we're here without him. And he is always blowing up our phones being like, how's it going? Say hi to everybody. What am I missing? So he'll definitely be here at some point. But these are just some of the people behind the scenes who help bring this to life.
Yeah, awesome. So quick pulse check in the room. Kind of do a 1, 2, 3 on your fingers. 1, if you've heard of Mizzen and you use Mizzen all the time. Number 2, you're like, I've heard of it, but not really sure. Number 3, you're like, what the heck is a Mizzen?
And there's no judgment. It's
no
okay
judgment.
If you're like,
yeah. You're like, I use it all the time. 2, I'm like, familiar. 3, it's like, what word are you using? Okay. Lots of 1s and 2s, couple 3s.
Couple 3s, cool.
Very cool. Awesome. Okay, well, let me give you a very quick rundown of what Mizzen is. So Mizzen is we are a nonprofit organization, youth-serving organization. At the heart of what we do, you might have, when I say use Mizzen, it's the digital app that's available, Mizzen.org, that has over 1,500 learning resources, activities, on that digital platform, that kind of like a Pinterest for after school. So that is something that's available at no cost. We know that you all have team accounts that will continue to refresh throughout the year, so you can gain access to those really ready-to-use learning resources. Outside of that, we also have our professional development and training and coaching that we do. And then additionally, like I said, Mizzen for Teams and the team tools for collaboration, scheduling, planning that you can access on the Mizzen platform. So, a little bit about who we are. And we want to because over the past year, we know that we've been here. We've gotten to engage on a really deep level with the ELCs and CSDs. And so we wanted to kind of just share this little looping video to bring everyone into it of kind of some pictures from the last year, what we've done, what we've experienced together. Hopefully you've heard of the different training experiences from your CSD and ELCs, and we're going to talk a little bit how maybe even some of that language and practices have been trickling into your programs. But just to give you a little taste of what we're gonna do together this year. We really love super engaging environments. We love play, games, things like that. So you'll see some of those pictures that we'll get to experience throughout the year together. I'm gonna put some CSDs and ELCs on the spot. What is something that you would share, or just something that you're wanting to say to the Fuller group, like about what to expect or what to look forward to, or anything like that? What this experience of training and intensive like focused time together has been like for you?
Lots of learning and growing.
Lots of yeah.
Seeing yourself in the space and how you're growing with your team within the space as it relates to youth development.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Denise. Thank you. Yeah, Bridget.
I'll say be open.
Be open.
Be open to learn. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah. Thank you. So,
Be ready to be stretched beyond your comfort zone.
okay. Be ready to be stretched beyond the comfort zone. Practicing courage this year. Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you. So, one thing I want to be sure that this message really hits home is that this partnership, this investment that the Flint Center has made of this professional development and really like coaching and intense practices and learning opportunities, experiences, it's something unique. And we said this a year ago when we were together with the CSDs and ELCs. It is not often that you'll find an organization that chooses to say, this experience is about you and we want to equip you and give you continuous professional development learning opportunities. It's a rare gift. And so we just want to invite you in to say, like, this is your time, like a few of you said, right? Be open. Be open to learn and experience all of the learning together alongside of each other and grow together. And so with that, we're going to talk a little bit about, just again, like practicing showing up for yourself, right? And giving this time as a real opportunity and a gift to you. As we go through, I want to talk a little bit about kind of the shared goals of the Flint Center, a year and a half ago when we met and started dreaming up and thinking about, okay, what are these goals, right? We know that you all across the 13 different sites have such unique and dynamic programming, and at the same time, you are one organization, right? And so it's really getting clear about like, what does good program quality look like across all of the sites? How do we come together to make sure that it's like, I look at that site and I know that's a Flint Center site? Stronger internal systems that support both you all, the staff, and students. So we're really, again, alongside Haley mentioned work groups, things like that. Operationally, like how do we make sure that those practices are in place and strong for this? A culture of collaboration, learning, trust, and growth. And so again, that is a shared goal that we want to create that space and have that opportunity. And then ultimately supporting each of you to become more confident, empowered facilitators and educators in your craft and in your spaces.
So just what to expect logistically for the next year of learning together is there are set Fridays. Everyone should have gotten a calendar invite already for all of them, for all of the dates. They also live on the hub, which I'll tell you about more at the end of the training. But there are, including today, 9 Fridays that we will be together from 1 to 4 p.m. in this space. Your CSDs and ELCs also have a morning session, just so you know. They're here they get us for like 6 hours. But this group will be together from 1 to 4 here. If there's ever a location change, we'll be sure to let you know. We are continuing site visits. So every time that we come to town, the Wednesday and Thursday, Kristen and I will be heading to 3 sites. I'm working with Rachel to get those scheduled out for the entire year, so you know when we are coming. And there are more resources available about what's happening on the site visits, and we're happy to answer more questions about that as well. You're going to have site projects to do together tied to this training over the 6 weeks in between. We'll tell you more about that. And then we'll just continue to pour more additional resources onto the hub. Everyone should have a journal. In that journal is yours. That journal is for you. Your CSDs and ELCs have a journal that they've been using for the past year. And every training, we make sure that you have handouts that go along with the training for you to take notes, that they have tips, they have tricks, there's more information. We do activity guides through these. So this journal is yours. So mark it up, mark the sheets up, put your name on it. It's just a way to keep all of your Mizzen notes together. So bring those with you every time you come to training. Okay. Any questions? Let me rephrase. What questions can I answer? Okay. We normally don't talk this much at the start, but since it's the first time we're coming together, Kristen and I really wanted to make sure that everybody was brought into the context for why this partnership exists, what to expect, and how we're going to learn and grow together. And like Kristen has said, as questions come up for you, whether it's about what we're talking about, whether it's about who we are as people, whether it's about Mizzen, the partnership, any of it, please ask. We love questions. I love to ask questions. I love to be asked questions. Any of my coaches who I've worked with over the past year will tell you how many questions I ask and how curious I am. So please, the floor is yours. Get to know us and get what you need. Yes?
On your set Fridays when you will have training.
Yes.
For us part-timers who have a full-time job, will
Yes.
this be posted? Will this information be shot out to us?
Yes.
If we're unable to make them?
Great question. Yeah, so the question was, if we have to miss, how do we get caught up? So thank you also for saying that, because you might have seen Kristen do the action at the start. For this year, we are trying something new, and we're recording these sessions. And so there's multiple cameras that I keep forgetting about posted throughout. Kristen and I are wearing mics. And then post-training, Nathan will work to put it together with the slides and everything so that you can watch the trainings. And then all of the additional resources, the slides and everything will be on the hub before the training. So you can always reference it there. Your CSDs and your ELCs will take a lot of responsibility and accountability to make sure that you have the information that you need as well, so that everybody comes along regardless.
And while we're talking logistics, and wait, I can connect this to that. You're all set up to get 3 hours of my regular training for today, as long as you sign in. So make sure you have it. It's there.
Yes.
And that's where the video will get pushed to. If you're ever not here, it'll come through on my other screen. I'll send information about that.
No, thank you for asking. What? Yes, it's okay. It's okay. So that's also for us to say, Kristen and I are wearing mics. So just be mindful of what you're saying when you're around us if you don't want it to be picked up on a mic. Whoever is going to be doing the audio from this morning heard a lot of my internal thoughts and things because I forget that I'm wearing it. So, okay. Okay, any other questions that we can answer? All right. So we're gonna talk about today, and I'll do
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So to kick things off, today is all around designing for belonging, this idea of designing for belonging. And we're going to unpack that more and more. Hopefully, you may have heard that a little bit from your CSDs, ELCs throughout the year. And as we've really trained in on this, and it's a critical part to program quality. And so we're gonna dive deeper into that in a little bit here. But we're going to be able to name that, give examples, talk through what are the factors in the Flint Center ecosystem as well that help to shape a sense of belonging for both ourselves, our staff, and the young people we serve. Number two, really describe the importance of belonging and othering in creating and implementing impactful programs. And then number 3, identify and apply. We want you to be able to identify and apply at least 3 specific strategies to cultivate opportunities for belonging at your sites. Another kind of piece I'll just mention is that as we go through all of these trainings, one thing we're going to really work to build is, right, like our facilitation skills and elements like that as youth development professionals. So anything that Haley and I do, say, model, those are skills and practices to also take back. They're yours to use. So I think I heard Haley say a little bit ago, she said, she even caught herself. She was like, any questions? And said, position yourself to say, what questions can I answer, right? It allows more openness as you're facilitating an experience. So again, any of those cues that we're using, please feel free to take, jot, and from that. So as we're thinking about like what to expect, I know that we've been chatting, like Haley said, to this kickoff. There's a lot of information to share at the beginning of it, but you can count on us. We're going to be moving and playing and having fun. We love some good competition, and we're going to make that happen in spaces. I know it's a little tight, but we're still going to be able to move. Human-centered practices, again, like take care of yourself in this space. If you need to use the restroom, stand up, stretch, do that. We want you to be taking care of yourself. We'll have individual, we'll have small group, we'll have large group discussions and activities, both within your site teams, but then also cross-site teams as well. You can expect to build on the collective wisdom in the room. Everyone in here has something to bring. We are not the only 2 people that are bringing in information. We truly believe that we can build and learn from one another. And then reflection, ideation, celebrations, courageous conversations. We want to invite you into those practices as we go through this year. And just, invite you to just show up for yourself and your learning and your development.
All right, so want to do a quick just check in for some group norms of how we want to operate as a group in this space and how we can best show up for each other. We obviously really want an engaged group or like engaged session, but we know that engagement comes from safety and feeling safe and feeling like you can be your authentic self. And we're going to talk about that a lot today with Designing for Belonging. And so these group norms were established this morning with our CSDs and ELCs. And so I offer them as a starting point for this group. And I'm going to have them explain what some of these terms are in a second. Group norms can change. They can ebb. They can flow. As a group, of larger group, if there are things on here that we need that are not on there, let's add them. In 2 sessions, if something shifts and one of our group norms isn't working, let's tweak it, right? This is a place to advocate for what you need so that you can show up fully and be ready to learn and engage and feel safe and have fun. So one of my CSDs and ELCs put you on the spot. Respect for self and others. What does that look, sound, and feel like in this space? What was that? Focus attention on the speaker. What else did we talk about?
Being respectful.
Being respectful.
No technology.
No technology. Listening, yeah. All right, we've also talked about open minds, having a growth mindset. Bridget shared that earlier, Shylon shared that about being okay with being uncomfortable and changing some of how we operate, like our facilitation skills and things like that, and who we are and growing as leaders. So staying open-minded, active listening, and listening to understand instead of listening to respond. That we agree to being engaged and present. And part of that is that we are asking that technology stay put away for these trainings. We know that there is a lot of life that happens outside this room, and it is very easy to get distracted by that. And we recognize that, but we ask you to give yourself and your colleagues and your teammates the gift of your presence by putting those distractions away. There will be very specific times where I ask you to pull out your phone for a QR code or something like that, but beyond that, please, laptops, phones away to give yourself the space to really be here and dive in. Being okay with taking breaks. like Kristen said, get up and move. If you need to step out for a second, do it. If you are someone who is tired of sitting and you need movement, go hang out, right? Like, do what you need to do to feel okay in this space. And so it is okay if life happens and you need to step outside and take a phone call. That's okay. And we are okay with that. With you doing that, and your teammates are okay with that. All right, someone tell me about what being disciplined means. What did we agree to for being disciplined in this space?
That was a technology piece too.
It was part of the technology piece. What else came up?
The active listening as well.
Active listening. Anything else that came up that we talked about? About what it means to be disciplined in this space? Participation, thank you. I was like, that was the other piece that we talked about this morning, was just like, beyond just showing up and being here physically, engage. Like I said, like you saw in the what to expect, it is normally not this much of us talking at the front. I promise you, we normally jump in. We're about to jump in. We're almost done with this. But there will be a lot of opportunities for you to engage in activities and discussions and brainstorms and ideation strategies. Your voice is wanted, so bring it. Like, we want that. That's how the collective wisdom is. We want to know what your wins are, what your challenges are, what your strengths are, where you want to grow, what things have you done well at your site that you think other sites should know about. Like, that is how we learn together. So be disciplined and let yourself participate. And then lastly, we commit to having fun, finding joy, and having just moments of connection and celebration. Looking at this list, is there anything that feels like it is missing that you need or want to bring to the group? Okay. We'll close it for now. Again, these are editable as things shift, as we get to know each other more as a group. I am going to ask that before you leave today, you put your signature on our commitments, saying that, yes, I fully commit. There's a bunch of markers over there. You don't need to all go do it right now. But as you're walking through this space today, grab a marker and sign off on your commitment. Okay. All right. That was a lot of talking. I need a break. Okay, so we are going to do not an icebreaker, because that has a lot of like feelings about it, but something that is standard that you should expect every single time is that we start with moments of connection. Moments where we get to know each other as humans, because being that human-centered, knowing who is in this work with you beyond the job is where we thrive. That's how we build trust. That's how we build belonging. So there's always going to be some moment, activity of connection of who you are as a person before we jump into the work. So what's going to happen is I'm going to read a statement. If that statement applies to you, I'm going to ask you to stand up. Okay? Good with me? Yep. All right. That's all the directions I have for this one, which super easy. Normally there's like 12 slides of rules because y'all try to find every single loophole. Very creative bunch here. But all right, stand up if you have worked at the Flint Center for 2 or more years. Ooh, that got a lot of us. All right, stay standing, stay standing. Oh, there was another direction. I should have said still stand. So stay standing. All right, now stand up if you have worked at the Flint Center for more than a day. I don't think it's anyone's first day, is it? All right. Now, I'm going to ask you to turn to someone next to you, or even feel free to move to the next table, but find a partner and for 1 minute, talk about what is one thing that you have learned during your time at the Flint Center. What is one thing you've learned? get some squats in. Okay? All right, so stand up and stay standing up if you have ever been completely flabbergasted or shocked by a young person. Flabbergasted or shocked by a young person. All right, that got a lot of reaction, so I'm guessing we all had a very specific moment that just popped into our head. One youth that immediately popped into our head. All right, so stand up if you have learned something new from a young person at any point in your life.
Ever learned something new?
All right, turn to someone new. Feel free to go to a new table. Feel free to have some movement. And also, if you have never met each other before, say hello, introduce yourself. And you are going to talk about what did that experience teach you about yourself. Thank your partner, and you can sit back down.
Thank your partner. Thank your partner. Grab your seat.
All right. Our next round, stand up and stay standing if you started a new site or in a new role within the last year. You started at a new site or changed roles within the last year.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, all right. I was about to say, I know some of you have changed roles within the last year.
Nah, I know. That's
All
true.
right.
Yeah, sometimes.
Stand up
Yeah.
if you can remember a time that you were the new person in a group or a new person in a space. All right. Turn and find a new partner and talk about what helped you feel welcome. When you are the new person in a space, the new person in a group, the new person at a job, what helped you feel welcome? Thank your partner, and you can sit back down. Say thank you to your partner, and you can sit back down. All right, my friends. We have one more round. We got one more round. So if you have not done your squats, this is your time. All right, our last round. Stand up if you have ever walked into a room and immediately felt like you belonged there. If you've ever walked into a space and you knew that you belonged there. Yes, ma'am. I love that. All right, I see a lot of us are already starting to talk about those experiences, which is beautiful. All right, stand up if you have ever experienced a moment where someone has helped you feel included or valued, and it doesn't have to just be work. Have you ever had a moment where someone made you feel valued or included? All right, find a new person. So at this point, you will have talked to your fourth new person. And talk about what did that person do that made you feel welcomed, that made you feel valued, that made you feel included. What did they do that signaled that to you? Ready, set, go. Say thank you to your partner. High five, foot five, fist bump, air five. Whatever, however you want to celebrate with your partner, say thank you and head on back to your seats. All right. All right. My friends, I'm going to invite the focus back into the room. Thank you so much for engaging with those questions. Thank you. I saw people moving from one side of the room to the other to find new partners. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing parts of yourself with other people in this room. I would love to hear from two people. What was your answer to this question? What did somebody do that made you feel welcomed or valued or like you belonged?
I shared that person was intentional in remembering my name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a beautiful one. Thank you, Shailon. All right, one more. Yes.
No.
I shared that my team, when I got over there, when we driving, they let me be myself.
They let you be yourself. Yes.
I shared that my team let me just openly hear my ideas the first day. They just wanted to know what new ideas I have for activities and programs.
I love that. On day one, they were asking you for your ideas. I love that.
Yeah.
I shared that after the first week of summer school, the students, a lot of them that know me or getting to know you, so they try to hear you. About the second week, they're actually looking for you.
Looking.
I love that. So
being
that
sought out.
strategy of like literal looking for somebody makes you feel included and valued. Thank you all for sharing that.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna ask everybody to turn in your journal on page, I think it's the page 1.
Page 1, yeah.
I think it's page 1.
Yep.
And we're gonna do a little quick individual reflection. So in your journal, I'll put on some music, and for the next 3 minutes, I just invite you to think about what just happened in this activity. I noticed that for some of our questions, almost everybody stood up immediately. For other questions, a smaller group stood up. And then there were some questions where folks didn't stand up at all. So that's something that I noticed, right? So what did you notice in these moments of connection? What did you hear? What did you think about? How did this activity relate to belonging?
Yeah, yep.
And did you notice anything that could be applied from this activity to the work that you do with your youth? So 3 minutes, time for yourself. Invite you back into this space. And I would love to hear from somebody on this side of the room. What is an insight or an aha or something that you noticed from this activity? Or what did this activity make you think about? Yeah.
That you can have a connection with the group, but not necessarily feel like you belong.
I'm going to say that over here in case you didn't hear. That you can have a connection to the group, but not feel like you belong. Thank you for sharing that. I would love to hear from someone on this side of the room. What is something, or how can you take this activity and adapt it to your youth? Or how can you apply this to moments with your youth? What was that?
Yeah, go
Yeah.
for it. And then we'll come back.
I would apply to the group just to get them. Sometimes when they sit down for a long period of time, that gets I just doing that alone, and then just device connection.
Absolutely. Perfect, yeah. So, I mean, this is literally an activity that you can do with your youth, right? I believe it was Jeremiah. Perfect. Jeremiah shared that, like, it's a great way, right, to just invite some movement, right? Maybe your youth have been sitting for a while and you need a break. This is a way that you can get movement in. It's also a really great way for you as the facilitator or the leader to get to know your group of humans very quickly, right? You can obviously change the questions to reflect what you're looking for or questions that you have about group norms or their experiences, and see who's standing. See how they interact with each other. And then you very quickly are getting a lot of information about the youth that you're working with or the team that you're serving. Yes?
I like to do an all about me with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then let them share out, because now they're learning about their peers.
Absolutely.
Find the similarities in there, so I love doing those.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So Felicia Dawn? Felicia Dawn was sharing about just really having that all about me and having youth share about themselves to find those moments of connection, right? Especially when you're sharing about yourself and you are the one saying, this is who I am, this is what I like. It's inviting other people to connect back with you. And helping youth learn those skills is so critical to what we do. So thank you. We're going to move on here in a second, but I also remembered one other thing I wanted to share about the group norms that we missed. For respect for self and others is minimizing side conversations as much as possible. I know in a group like this, especially with a wide room, it can be very easy to get distracted or think that your side conversation is not impacting other people. It is. Like, let's just be real. It is, right? So as much as we can to respect others and be in this space. And this is the first time that Kristen and I are facilitating with a group this wide too. So thank you for your patience as we're all navigating this together. And so we will do better about walking and getting movement around, making sure that we are addressing all people, right? I know even like this, like we're unintentionally closing off sometimes. So if you ever need anything repeated or you aren't hearing something, just let us know and we're gonna make it work, okay?
Yeah. One thing I'll ask too is if you are having a hard time, especially those on the edges, like please feel free to come in. Like we can pause for a second and readjust ourselves. We wanna make sure that everyone can hear, because I know it's really hard to hear from one side to another. So feel free, if anyone wants to move, to do so. Feel welcome to do that. Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so as we jump into, again, thinking about creating those moments of connection and belonging, at the heart of it and fundamentally, and we're going to say this phrase a lot, hopefully every training you'll hear it, but program quality is relational work. Program quality is relational work. It is at the heart of it. It centers at human to human connection. And at the end of the day, right, the whole goal of the work that we do is that we want to have high quality programs, high quality experiences, learning experiences. And so with that, just continue to keep that in mind. Program quality at the heart is relational work. Now, when we think about our program quality and our spaces, we get to be designers. And invited to be designers of our spaces, of our experiences, of our things, everything from like reflections and openings to the way that we design a physical space. Feelings cannot just be shaped and created, for somebody, but we can design moments. We have the ability to design so that people can experience learning in different ways and have opportunities to feel and experience different things. So, let me get my remote back up, sorry.
I got you.
Thank you. I know we touched on this a little bit in the opening question, and I know that there was something that we had asked, like, what made that feel, like you belonged, right? So I want you to think again now. Think of a place, a space, where you really we're able to say, like, I have a sense of belonging, right? Maybe it is a civic or a church group that you're involved with. Maybe it is with your staff at the site that you're at. Maybe it's in your home. Maybe it's at a campground that's special to you and you gather together each year with family. Is there somebody else that would love to share, like, what place has become we also like to talk about spaces becoming places, right? Like a physical space can become a place and a place of belonging. So does anyone have that place that has become that for them? Yeah. Your grandma's house. Why so? What makes it that?
Just, the comfort, the care, the love.
Yeah.
It's kind of an atmosphere.
Yeah. The atmosphere, the comfort, the care. Did somebody say something? Sorry if I heard something. But yes. Your car, okay? What contributes to your belonging?
Even go when I want, or just.
Ah.
So a
freedom.
sense of control and freedom, yeah.
Yeah.
That's real.
I get that. I drive everywhere.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Where else? What other place in your life? Yeah. Nature. What contributes to that sense of belonging for you?
A sense of grounding, like touching trees and grass. Like we go fishing, like we feel like.
Yeah.
Or like when I go golfing, I just like being on the grass and seeing like trees and stuff like that. So it's just a sense
I
of
love that.
grounding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't control it though, but.
That's right. No, that's great. That's great. Thank you.
One thing that I want to also point out is that we all have different ways that we feel belonging,
Yes.
right? We're all having that same feeling, but it is shaped by things that are personal to us, and it is different for everybody else, right? And so when we talk about designing for belonging, that is a part of it, where we have to think about the experiences, the preferences, the traits, the values, all of those things for the people that we are designing for. And we're not going to get it right every time, right? And that's okay. And we're going to talk about what happens when we don't get it right, because we have to continue to facilitate those feelings of belonging. But we just offer that to say, if we are human-centered in our work, it is acknowledging that belonging looks and sounds different for everybody, but we have those opportunities as designers, and Kristen's going to talk more about this in a second, and we're going to talk about how to shape designing today. What different modes we can integrate into the same moments to get as many opportunities for people to see themselves in that space.
Awesome. All right, and in your journals, you do have another area where you can stop and think, right? Like, what is that space for you? It's at the bottom of page 1, and so you can just take a couple of minutes as we kind of are chatting about this. Drop thoughts that are coming to your minds. Get specific too, right? Of naming and like, what is that you've experienced and why? As a part of this work, Susie Wise is the author of the book called Design for Belonging. And in the book, she has this really powerful quote. We're going to talk about belonging and our identities together here in a second. And so I'm going to read this quote, and this is on your journal, page 2. As we read it, feel free to highlight, underscore things that are resonating with you. And so I'm going to actually have somebody read it. So would somebody be willing to, with their loud voice, project it and read this quote to the group?
The one on the top
on the
of
screen.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Backward and forward, my identity shapes my belonging, and my belonging shapes my identities. But belonging is also shaped by external factors that intersect with my identities.
Thank you. Somebody else read it.
Backward and forward, my identity shapes my belonging, and my belonging shapes my identities, but belonging is also shaped by external factors that intersect with my identities.
One more person. Read that. Yeah.
Backward and forward, my
Okay, that's deep, right? There's a lot in that. One more?
5.4.
Yes.
My identity shapes my belonging. My belonging shapes my identity. But belonging is also shaped by external factors that intersect with my identity.
Yeah. So let's come back to this. Let's start to break this down here in a minute. All right, so as you can see, and as you heard, and thank you for reading that out, right? There is this cycle, our belonging and our identities and our belonging. And so we're going to break this down. And on the screen, and I believe, well, I mean, you have the quote on your, I've lost my page. There it is. You have the quote here again, like, call out what's speaking to you when you hear this as well. So there's 3 elements to this concept. Number 1, my identities shape my belonging. 2 and 3 and so forth, right? By the show of holding up your fingers again, we're going to do another 1, 2, 3. Which of these statements resonate most with your belonging experiences that you've had? So has it been for you that you've as you stop and pause and reflect, do your identities tend to shape your belonging? Number 1. Number 2, does your belonging shape your identities? Number 3, is belonging for you shaped by external factors? And it might be all, but initial gut. What are you resonating? Well, 1, 2, or 3? And just kind of hold your finger up there. Okay. I'm going to now do something a little different. I'm going to ask you to hold your finger up, and I know not everyone chose a number, but I want you to find somebody in the room with the same number as you, and I want you to have a conversation for a minute about why that part of belonging identities connects to you and resonates with you. All right, so got to hold those fingers up strong and tall. I want you to find somebody nearby. You can get up, move to another part of the room, and I want you to chat with your partner. Let's come back together. That was fun. Thank you for that impromptu jam. That was good. All right, so can I have 1 or 2 folks share out what you chatted with, about with your partner? Yeah, which number did you choose? And
okay, so we all chose number 1.
Yeah.
And my identity shapes my belonging. We feel like that when we go into a space, we own that space. We don't allow our surroundings to define us. Period. If y'all can't accept who we are, we can pipe it down. Like Keith said we can tone it down, but we definitely gonna be ourselves. Yeah. Well,
She took the words right out of her mouth.
yes.
Well, I'm number 3, and I don't feel like that.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Great. Good. I was like, perfect. Yeah.
That's good.
All right, hold on. Let's give. We're gonna give Jeremiah the mic.
All right, I like it.
I'm very confident in myself, but I will walk into a room. If they looking like what you're doing here, I'm leaving out to you. That's why I need you. I don't want to show stuff. Nope. I'm going to be here for that. No, I don't do it. If the room's too hot, I'm not doing it. If I just know that we're not going to vibe, I'm not going to do it. It does depend on the external factors for me as a person.
Okay.
I like that for them, though.
There you go. That's great. So, as you can hear, right, our belonging experiences are deeply personal to us. They're deeply personal. And that is why design matters. And that's where I said a little bit ago, right? Like, we are designers. We're designers of our relationships, of our moments together, of the interactions, and the way that we design matters to our youth and with our programs and our quality, right? So many of the things that help us to feel belonging, as we've now unpacked and explored together, those are intentional things that we can do to feel, to shape, to make belonging happen within our spaces. And so, again, I want you to put that like designer hat on. You are a designer of moments, of interactions, of relationships. And we're going to continue to explore how we do that. So, you want to?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we keep saying this word of belonging, and we haven't defined it yet, right? Because like we've talked about, belonging is deeply personal, and that's a really important element. We're going to talk through 3 elements of belonging today: feeling, seeing, and shaping. And so we spent a lot of time, and we're not quite done with it, but we spent a lot of time talking about what feeling belonging is, right? And all of us are able to describe the feeling, but how do we actually define what belonging is? So, without looking on page 2, which you might have already seen, but without looking at the definition that's already provided, when you hear the word belonging, what comes to mind? How would you define it? That's an open. Shout it out. Consideration. Being part of it. Connection. Security. Comfortability. No judgment. Acceptance. Approachable. Inclusive. Absolutely. We like to think about it and offer this definition. We did not come up with this, but we like to offer it. That belonging is that feeling of being accepted, valued, heard, and able to contribute as your fully authentic self. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, when we think about belonging, it's being able to voice and challenge what's happening. Belonging does not always mean that things are sunshine and rainbows, right? Belonging happens when I am able to have those hard conversations, when I'm able to say, this didn't feel right, or I think we need to do something different, or I need something different from you, but I do it because I feel safe, I feel heard, I know that my voice is valued, right? Because I am accepted for who I am and all that I bring. Good, bad, ugly, it's me, right? And a lot of us talked about that when we talked about belonging and identities, that we walk into spaces and go, this is who I am, right? And we feel belonging when the other people say, great, I'm so glad you're here. On the other side of belonging is othering, right? And that is the practice of exclusion, right? It can be implicit, it can be explicit, it can be intentional, it can be unintentional, but it's the experiences, practices, or systems that make people feel excluded, marginalized, or disconnected, right? And when we're designing for belonging, we need to be very intentional about finding those moments where othering is happening on purpose or not. When we think about systems that exist in our society, let's be frank, a lot of the policies that govern the way that we live are exclusionary, right? There's a lot of systemic othering that happens in our world that we are dealing with as adults, that our youth are learning to navigate, that impact all of the parts of their life, right? So othering can be systematic. It's not always going up to somebody and being like, Simone, you can't sit there, right? But it's, do I keep Simone's chair open for her? If Simone comes over and sits down, how do I welcome her? How do I interact with her, right? And a lot of times we are unintentionally othering just because we see someone and we're like, oh my gosh, you're my best friend. I'm so excited to see you. And then I ignore everybody else who I've never talked to before. That doesn't make me a bad person, but there is a moment of othering there, intentional or not, right? So again, when we're just going back to talking about being designers and designing for belonging, we want to be really explicit that othering can also happen that we need to try and navigate against, okay? Another really important thing that I want to talk about for belonging, we're going to come to this multiple times today and keep coming back to it. Belonging is cultivated over time. It's repeated interactions. It's repeated relationships. Trust takes time. There are moments where you can walk in and immediately feel like we belong, right? But when we think about the youth that we serve, the teams that we're on, the community that we're in, I can't snap my fingers tomorrow and say everyone feels like they belong here. I wish, right? But it takes time, and it takes tweaks, and it takes learning, and it takes mishaps, and it takes missteps. But we're going to try. It takes a lot of trial to make sure that we're getting there. As you take this in, is anybody having a thought, a reaction, something that you're thinking about that you want to share?
Yeah.
Yes?
This is off topic, but I learned othering through a relationship. Watching the person I was dating, how when we would go into spaces and he would always just greet everyone and made everyone feel included, and just watching that, I'll come in, I'll be like, hey y'all, you know, it just made me aware that greet everyone so everyone can feel included. But that's I learned othering from that.
Absolutely. And that's a great point in that we learn what feels good, what belonging and othering feels like in our personal lives. This is, and we keep coming back to this, like it is so deeply personal, right? And when we show up in our spaces with our youth, we are bringing all of that with us. We are bringing our histories, we are bringing our stories, we are bringing our experiences, and those shape the decisions that we then make, right? So we need to know what belonging feels like for us, what othering feels like, those moments that people have designed those for us, because then that gives us some strategies to bring in. And also, it just gives us that lens to really look at the experience. I saw a hand. Yes?
This one phrase came in mind when we were talking is do unto others as you want them to do unto you.
So the golden rule, that is what came up for some of us, is that do to others as you want them to do to you, 100%. Yeah. Did you have a thought? Oh, are you stretching? Sorry, I thought I saw your hand. I was like, I'm going to put you on the spot now. No, I was kidding.
But I will say something that helped me belong is learning learning my coworkers' work language.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
It's a form of relationship.
Yeah.
With somebody, you learn their love language. When you're working with somebody, learning their work language, it helps. So when I walk into the room, good morning team, you know, I speak to everybody, but everybody, it requires a different action of communication.
Do you have an example?
Yes, I do. So I got my team here.
Great.
So what might work with my boss here, Mr. Jason, may not work with Simone.
Yeah.
And so like he may, hey, I need you to email me only. So Simone is like, she's more direct. I need you to call. You know, so learning, you know, that I'm not emailing her, you know, it works.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for courageously talking about your bosses. I appreciate that. But that's a perfect example, too, of belonging being personal. Communication styles, right? Whether somebody is okay with email, someone likes text, someone likes calling, right? It's seeing that other side, or seeing the person on the other side as a person and working to meet them halfway to serve them. All right, thank you for sharing that. All right, I'm going to ask you to turn to, I think it's page 3 in your journal, and we are going to do an activity. This is called an emotional journey map. So again, getting reflective of our experiences of belonging, specifically now looking at work. So this is an emotional journey map. What I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to choose one experience to focus on. It can be either your journey into your role at the Flint Center, so looking at from the first day to today. You can also look at a young person's typical program day at your site, from when they come to when they leave. Or you can think about if you have a young person's challenging experience come to mind. So if you've had a young person who has maybe had a rough day or a rough day at program or is in some sort of conflict or is going through something, you can put yourself in that mind. But what you're going to do is I just want you to map some key moments through that journey on this line or on this graph. Where was it a feeling of belonging that happened, or was it a feeling of othering that happened? So for example, journey into your role. So maybe first day, I'm kind of neutral. I don't know if I belong or not. I walk in the office, somebody greets me, they know my name, they're waiting for me, they have a welcome gift with a t-shirt on it. I'm gonna feel like I belong a little bit more, right? And then maybe I walk into an office and for an onboarding and that person doesn't really want to be there that day. They aren't really interested in talking to me. They're maybe not as warm. My feelings of belonging might come down a little bit and I feel a little bit more othered. But then a coworker invites me to lunch and I feel like I belong, okay? So think about the journey in one of those three spaces. What are the high moments? What were the moments where you feel othered? Map it, plot it, draw it on the map. We're going to take 2 minutes to do this. Yeah. Would love to invite everybody, if you're still working on your map, that's okay. But I want you to really, not in this moment, but as you keep thinking about this, and as you start, again, thinking about feeling belonging and understanding belonging through a day, through a system, through all of the things, think about, where does belonging feel the strongest? Where was it harder to find belonging in those moments? What patterns do you notice about the belonging that you're creating and cultivating in the emotional journey map, especially if you looked at a sight journey through the day, and we'll come back to that in a second. But just think about what contributed to those high moments, what contributed to those low moments, what relationships influenced them, what context, what behaviors, the environment, all of those external factors, right? How did they play a role in that emotional journey? All right, and so that wraps up element 1 of feeling belonging. So we are going to move from, actually we're going to take a very short break because I'm noticing that we maybe need a little bit of movement. So we are going to take a, hold on, before you go, 3-minute break. Okay, okay, hold on. I'm going to put a 3-minute timer on the board. You have 3 minutes. Stretch, go to the bathroom, step outside, except don't go because of the air quality. Do what you need to. 3 minutes, and then we're back. Ready, set, go. That 3 minutes was short and quick and probably didn't feel like 3 minutes, but 3 hours goes so fast. So we're going to jump back into it. I know based on a lot of the faces that I just got, you go, that is not fast, 3 hours, but we're about to do some more things together. So thank you for grabbing your breaks and for coming back. And I'm going to toss it to Kristen to take us through our next element of seeing belonging.
All right, so now that we have gone through, right, the feelings of belonging and our experiences and talking, right, about the personalness of belonging, we're going to talk about seeing belonging, because belonging does not happen on accident, right? And so the ways that we are going to start to put on our like belonging glasses so that we can understand as leaders and facilitators and educators and mentors, as we step into spaces, how we notice and see belonging, or not quite yet, at our sites. So when we look at page 4 in our journal, I want to point out these 9 moments of belonging. And to build belonging, we need to become observers, right? So again, think about it. If you want to think about it like putting your belonging lenses on, things like that. There are 9 moments, thank you, of belonging. We're not going to go over each 9 moment in depth by any means, but we're going to go on to 3 in more particular, a little bit of a deep dive. But when we look at these 9 moments of belonging, these are the things that can help to shape the experience of belonging. And so we're going to look at invitation, participation, and contribution today. And as we explore each of these, we're going to think about what that looks like at our sites and in our programs, and where the opportunities exist for us to see belonging. And and not to just see belonging, but I want to say like see the opportunity to design for belonging, right? All right, so the first one is the invitation. The invitation is the signal that says, hey, belonging might be possible here. I'm invited into a space. When we think about invitation, we can think about it in terms of maybe it's a social media post that goes out and families are invited to register for programming. Maybe it is that piece of communication at the end of the school year that starts to invite students into signing up for summer programming. Maybe it is the invitation to say, hey, when you're at the door and welcoming people in, hey, fill out a name tag. Like we want to know what you're curious about. What problem are you trying to solve right now? What would you love to learn more about? We're inviting you into that space. So again, I want you to think about it in terms of your program. So who's receiving the invitation to join most clearly? Who's not? Are there opportunities that you can help to shape some invitations for inviting people in?
One quick, just add a piece of context. When we talk about these moments of belonging, they can be within an activity. Mm-hmm. It can be a program day. It can be a program week, a year, all of it, right? So these 9 moments are applicable to everything, right? So when we think about the invitations, it could be the invitation to the start of an activity, mm-hmm. the invitation to come into program at the start of the day, an invitation to join the program, right? Yeah. With recruitment. So think about it in those like small little everyday moments and the big long-term planning.
Mm-hmm. Great call out. So as we think about the invitation, would anybody be willing to share, maybe from their site, an opportunity where you think, okay, now that I'm starting to think about belonging more and thinking about my site, where is there an opportunity that I might see that I could make a stronger invitation? Is it, again, like Haley said, inside of an activity plan? Is it inside of a family event? Does anyone want to kind of like share out loud their thoughts about like, hey, how might we invite and design invitations in this situation? Yes. One second. You have a follow-up question to that? Okay. I'll have her answer then, yeah.
I would say something that I could add a little more invitation is like getting an introduction. I talked to some of the workers at different sites, and some of them said they have like slideshows on like objective of the day,
nice.
Day, like different types of things they have, explaining what's going to happen today in the synapses.
That's awesome. A visual.
Can you repeat that?
Yep, absolutely. So she talked about, and what was your name? Sierra, awesome. Sierra shared an idea of having a slide up, ready, that shows to the young people as they come in, like the expectations of the day, what's going to happen, that they're setting, you're setting them up for success, inviting them into the plan through a visual. So that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, what was your
question? Was with the invitation? Is it the invitation to the family?
It can be. Absolutely.
And then also, so when you have say a school that may have children with special needs, right?
Yeah.
Will the after school program have support for that child?
Yeah.
School? So when you're sending that flyer out, do we omit those kids because maybe there's no support for those kids? So that was my question to that.
Yeah.
Invitation.
Yeah, when we think about invitation, it is easy to think about like the actual, like tangible, like, here's your invitation, which it is. It is, and it's also the invitation in the greater sense, right? Like, I want to invite you into this program. I want to invite your family, to come into this space. And so I think that's a great example of like a family, right? You wanting to invite them in. In terms of, right, obviously you have the whole other side of things like program operations and licensing and all of that, and staff capacity and the abilities for that. And so that might, that will look different, right? Depending on what you are able to do. But I think that you point out a good point too for students with different needs. How are you positioning yourself to ensure that, again, there's an inclusive environment to invite people in? Yeah, thank you. All right, our second moment that we're going to talk about is participation. So belonging grows when we move from being present to when we move to being engaged. We're invited in and we start to be an active participant in our spaces. So when we think about participation, think about who participates easily in your spaces. Who may face barriers to participation?
That slide didn't update.
I was going to say that didn't update.
I was about to say, the guiding questions on this slide, sorry, didn't update. So listen to what Kristen's saying. Don't read what's on the slide.
So when you have your belonging lens on at your site and you're thinking about participation, is there opportunities, right? When you can think and say, like, gosh, maybe we are leaving out a section of somebody, being available to be invited. Again, invited participation. Participation when you're engaging, right? You're just not showing up, but you're actually being someone that's participating. So, are there spaces, moments, parts of your program where you can stop and think, I wonder if I could shift something so that I'm seeing participation opportunities in a new way, or maybe I need to expand upon a participation opportunity. Does anyone want to share on that? And I might challenge you too to think about it in terms not just for the young person, but are there participation opportunities that you can continue to build for each other? Maybe somebody has and we're going to kind of go into this in the next moment of belonging, right? But like, seeing the skills and the assets that somebody has to contribute and to participate, using the invitation to pull them in. Like, there's so many different moments where you can stop and think, like, this is a moment where I can include in participation. Anybody want to share a little bit more what you're thinking about participation and moments where you can see that as an opportunity maybe for growth within your program? Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Like maybe occasionally, especially if there's something in the team, you have a student lead.
Yes, a student. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, opportunities for students to lead. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, and then the final one we're going to look at a little more closely here is contribution. And contribution is when belonging becomes most visible, right? So moving from being consumers of a program to creators of the program. Youth voice and leadership is a big part right here, where we can think about how are folks being pulled in to shape and contribute to the program. can someone give an example maybe of how a young person contributes in a meaningful way at your program? In a meaningful way that they contribute. Yes?
Like being the line leader, or just being the person that wants to be part of something and give them the opportunity to give them an opportunity to do something different in the program.
Yep, absolutely.
Person that always wants to clean up.
Yeah, assigning roles. And that's a big part, that's a lever. We're going to talk about levers of design and like giving roles to people so that, yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Kind of give them that creative freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Creative freedom in the projects that they're doing, like ways to contribute in that. Yeah, absolutely.
The students are able to contribute they're able to contribute to the playground design.
Yeah, that's a
that's a
great
big one.
example.
Yep.
Students being able to contribute to the design of the playgrounds that have been, yeah, it's a great one. Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do in a moment here, we're going to take, and we're going to break into groups. And this is our CSDs and our ELCs have a facilitation guide, and they're so excited. But what's going to happen is we're going to take the next couple of minutes. We're going to go into groups. So we'll have to move around a little bit. CSDs, ELCs, especially if you're grouped, I'm going to have you separate out so that we can have some space with groups. And they're going to facilitate a couple of conversations, or a couple of discussion prompts within our conversation about seeing and moments of belonging. So we're going to have a chance to talk about which moment feels strongest at your site. And this is cross sites, right? So you're going to be able to hear from each other too. Where is that the strongest? And then where might we strengthen one of those moments of belonging, and how does that look? What does that look like, right? So I'm going to have CSDs, ELCs stand up for a minute. Only CSDs, ELCs stand up. And if you can, and if you can disperse yourselves to each table. Well, let's see if everyone can grab one table and see what that does to our distribution. When I say go, I will have you stand up, and I'm not going to put you into groups and things like that. I just want you to find a CSD, ELC that are standing and distribute yourselves so that we have groups of about 4 to 5 people in each group. Once you have a group and CSDs, ELCs, we need to figure out a quick way to say that, right? Once you have your group, I want you to pull them together, be the facilitator, start those conversations. Everyone, when you go to your group, take your journal, because there are places to write your discussion reflections together in the journal. All right.
Try to go to a CSD or ELC that is not at your site. Yes. Challenge yourself to a new perspective. Yes. Everybody has their own group. Yep.
Stand up.
All right, ready, set, go. interrupting good conversation. It's one of the worst parts of being a facilitator, but I'm going to invite everybody to focus back in on the group. If you can hear me, follow me. If you can hear me, follow me. Some of us are following. Little brain. Okay, thank you. Thank you for thank you for a lot of things. One, thank you for being okay with the messiness that was breaking out into these groups. We tried it. We learned a lot. We learned about our direction sets. We learned about how we can do these groupings better. So
we own that.
We owned it. We didn't know what that was going to look like. That's an example of us trying something, seeing what happened, and now we learned. So thank you for rolling with it, and thank you for being open-minded and getting into groups. So I know that we have started talking about scene and these moments in our programs, and I hope that you were able to share and brag on your site for which one that you feel y'all do really well, and that you started sharing strategies for how you can continue to strengthen that at your site and with your program. So we're going to move into the last element of designing for belonging, which is shaping belonging. So we've talked about feeling it, and we've talked about seeing it. So now how do we actually shape those opportunities for belonging? We're seeing those moments where we can increase participation. We're seeing those moments where we can increase contribution. But how do we actually do it? So when we talk about that, we talk about design levers. So when you think about a lever is a tool that helps you move something with less effort and helps you achieve your goal easier or faster. So when we're talking about shaping belonging, we're going to talk about 8 different levers. Okay, there's 8 different buckets of strategies or things that we can use to help shape those moments for increased opportunities for belonging. Okay, I am not going to go through all of them from up here. You are going to stay in your site, in your groups in a second, and your CSD or ELC facilitator is going to walk you through one moment in specific. But we think about design levers. We can think about it in terms of the space, the physical space. How is that shaping belonging? We can talk about roles. Every role is designed. What happens to belonging when you have a role, an expectation, a job? Rituals, how we can use events, how we can, the influence of communication on belonging, the influence of food as a belonging lever, schedules and rhythms, and groupings. Okay, so those are the 8 levers that we're going to explore today. You are going to deep dive into some of them today in your groups, but on the hub, it is linked to more information for all 8 of them so that you can continue to explore with your teams beyond today, since we're not going to go through every single one of them as a group. Okay? So while I was walking, or while you were in your first group, I walked around and gave each CSD leader, the facilitator lead, a design lever. And so you're going to stay in your groups, and you're going to think about how you can apply that lever to a specific scenario. So in this scenario, we're going to meet Taylor. Somebody want to read this for me?
Taylor is 12 years old and recently started attending an after-school program. Taylor doesn't know many people yet. When Taylor arrives each day, they usually walk into a busy room.
Oh, it's also on the bottom of one of your journal pages.
Yeah.
In a busy
Yes.
room where activities are already underway.
Okay.
Most young people seem to know one another. Staff are often helping participants get settled, answering questions, and preparing materials. Taylor usually stands near the doorway for a few moments before finding a seat. They love drawing and they spend a lot of time sketching in the notebook while waiting for activities to begin. Sometimes they immediately join an activity, sometimes they watch before participating. Taylor attends regularly, follows expectations, and participates when asked. But Taylor rarely volunteers ideas, doesn't seem connected to many peers, and often leaves as soon as the program ends. staff members have noticed Taylor, but no one is quite sure what Taylor enjoys. What strengths Taylor brings, or what would help Taylor feel more connected. Taylor isn't causing problems, Taylor isn't disengaged, but Taylor doesn't quite seem like they belong there.
How many of us have a youth that reminds us of Taylor? Probably, right? And this is a perfect example of where we can design for belonging, right? How can we use a lever to impact Taylor's experience and design opportunities for them to feel more connected? So in your groups, your facilitator lead has a lever that they are going to introduce you to, and then you're going to work through that lever of how that can impact Taylor in this scenario. Okay? If you have questions, your facilitator has the answers. All right, we're going to go for about 6 minutes.
You can hear me, clap once. You can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, snap 3 times. You're not done yet, I heard. Okay. Would love to hear one group share out what your lever was that you had and what strategy within that lever would you use to help strengthen that belonging with Taylor? Yes, this group. And
Our lever was events.
Events,
Yes.
okay.
So we noticed that Taylor was experiencing a loss of voice and not being able to express how they felt in certain situations to others.
Yep.
So we came up with certain ideas such as game events. There's game events that come out at a specific site that was brought in, and then group work as well.
Awesome.
And just keeping your word. That's another topic that we came across.
That's great. So keeping your word, games, What was the thing in between you said? Sorry. You said follow through. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that lever. Hope you all had some good conversation and you're starting to see and think, okay, those levers, I have those available in my back pocket. I can use them. They will help to shape and shift the belonging that's experienced at the site. Cool. Yeah.
All right, we are going to keep the belonging design train moving. And we are going to now transition into some site-specific work time. So thank you again for sharing your voice, sharing your experiences across sites. Don't go anywhere yet. I'm going to explain it. Okay? So thank you for being open about your site. Hopefully it sparked some new ideas. Hopefully you are in a different lever group from somebody else at your site so that when you come together, you can bring your new expertise on that lever to the group. So what's going to happen is you are going to get with your site-specific team and you are going to identify one belonging moment that you want to work on as a site. Okay? You are then going to apply design levers to come up with real, specific, practical, implementable strategies using that lever to help that moment get strengthened at your site. And you are going to commit to at least one implementation action step that you are going to take and put into work next week. Basically, you are going to work through steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 in your journal. CSDs/ELCs. One of you will come up and grab a set of chart paper and design levers. So, my site leaders, one from each site, come grab chart paper and design cards. Your site is going to a specific spot, a predetermined breakout space. There is a map that Kristen's about to put on the screen. There are also labels on the doors. Okay, so like IAF, you're in that breakout room. Okay, there are some upstairs, there are some downstairs. Kristen and I will be roaming up and down. We're going to get our steps in. So we are there to help support anything that you may need. Okay? You are going to have 25 minutes. going to wrap up. I'm going to ask you to bring your posters.
It would be like space, it
And
would be like food.
I'm trying to figure out where.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to use this wall.
your
Put your
moment,
posters of your notes or your final poster that says what levers you're using, what moment you're designing for, and come put them over here on this wall. Yes. So bring your site planning posters and put them on this wall. If you have multiple, awesome, put them all. As you're wrapping up, put your note posters over on that far wall. Come on in. We're almost to the finish line. I need you for 15 more minutes and then you're released. Stay strong. Hopefully we're a little energized after that conversation. Come on over. I think I think most of our sites are represented.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. All right. Thank you all for participating in that activity. I hope that your brains are turning. I hope that the strategies are flowing. I hope that there was moments where you got to own your brilliance and say, this is where we are strong at this site. And hopefully we found at least one action that we committed to taking as a site team to increase those opportunities for belonging at our site. I really want us to stay centered on this idea that we've already talked about, and I want to hit home again, that belonging is not built through one big change. Just because we institute a lever, just because we institute a brand new event, that doesn't mean belonging is automatically going to happen, and that doesn't mean it's a one and done. Belonging happens through our intentional choices, the moments, the experiences that we are creating over time. And like we talked about at the beginning, and I heard it come up in so many of the conversations, sense of belonging is built through relationships. It is built through that human side. We can use the levers to help cultivate that sense of belonging, but ultimately the work that we're doing, high quality program work, starts with humans. It starts with the relationships that we're building. Okay? All right, I'm going to toss it over to Kristen.
All right. I'm going to make sure that our remaining site is joining. Cool. Awesome. All right, so we are going to close out in a couple of different ways today. We had chatted at the beginning because we want to make sure we show you how to access the Flint Hub, make sure you know how to get on there. And this is like a website just for you all that has all the resources from today, everything, slide deck, all the good stuff. You'll go back to that and use that throughout this year. The other thing we talked about is at the beginning, as we mentioned, a group project. Don't be scared. I know probably a lot of us are like, oh, you know, from school and group projects. But no, this is almost like a continuation of what we've been working on right now and here together today. And so what we've done, every cycle, so every 6 weeks when we come together, right, we're going to be able to take a project that relates to what we talked about in the theme and work together as sites to create something. Okay? We want to continue through those 6 weeks to have ways that we're working and building and really practicing what we're doing on these Fridays. So, with that, we know that, first of all, I know that you all just engaged in some really good and deep thought. Like, thank you. Like, there was some really cool conversations listening and like figuring this out. And I know it's a little fuzzy and like figuring out the moments of belonging and things like that. However, you're doing really great work. And this doesn't stop here, you know, right? So we're not going to just say, okay, well, we've kind of got an idea. Like, we want you as much as you can to continue building this out together in your team times and staff meetings and implement it. right? Really implement it. One element that, again, when we come back to this idea of the purpose of this 2.5-year investment and engagement into our professional development and learning, and at the end of the day, really becoming a unified organization with our unique identities across all the sites, that's going to show up in this group project that we're going to introduce here in a second. So we're going to do, again, this is simple. It's going to test your creative juices a little bit, but I know there's so much creativity in here. Every site at the end of today is going to go back with a blank canvas of their neighborhood kind of look here, okay? So Brunel STEM Academy here. What's going to happen is that you're going to, as a team, continue this belonging conversation. And we have a handout that will go, and it will be digital, and we'll follow up, don't worry. But CSDs, ELCs will help to facilitate this as well. This idea of creating a belonging map of our site. Every site has a culture, right? Every site is unique, and we talk about all those ways that belonging shows up. And so as staff together, we want you to practice that and to celebrate it, strengthen it, and put it into a visual. What the goal is that when we return in 6 weeks, everyone will have their site map with some visuals of what makes you, right? So it might be including like some elements that you're printing some photos off. Maybe there's artifacts from your community. Maybe it's a certain type of, store, restaurant that you bring something physical and you add it to this map. At the end, what we're creating is an atlas, right? So we have all the maps together of all the unique belonging and ways that each of us show up. And then we have an atlas that we can display and we can put together and we can see together. We will follow up specific because I know it's getting late and I don't want to go into like the nitty-gritty details of it all, but we'll talk about the implementation with teams and such.
You have an example picture, right?
Thank you. I do. That might really help. So here's just some examples, and if you can see it more closely on the screens, you don't have to be an artist. You just have to be willing and ready to be creative. We hope that you start this as a team and that you think, yeah, like I want to do this at the kickoff in the fall with my young people, right? Like this is just a launching pad for us to play around, test it out, and do that. So we're going to go into much more detail, and I'll spell that out and get you the information you need. But I'm going to pause there. I want to make sure that we have a few minutes to finish like the exit tickets that you'll fill out for each time, and that we introduce you to the Flint Hub. And so,
okay, so I see us taking pictures of the slides. Awesome. But you also have access to the slides already. So if you have not bookmarked this page, I would highly recommend that you bookmark this page. It's also been emailed to you. But this, to Kristen's point, this is a website that is for this group, okay? It holds every material that you have experienced in these trainings and more. So if you scan this QR code, it's going to take you to a website. It's going to ask you to put in a password. The password is the Flint Center, all lowercase. Try to make it easy and memorable. On here, the slides are linked. Additional resources like the journal handouts are in there. There is a PDF that has all of the design letter cards that you can print out if you want to have them for your site. That's where also the instructions for the belonging map exist. That is where you can find all of our training information. So it tells you what dates and time and what topics we're going to be covering. And there's a heck of a lot more that I'm not even like getting to, okay? So there's a lot of goodness on this. And like I said, the slides and everything there are linked there so that you can go back to this time and time again. Sorry. As we are wrapping up, the importance of reflection, the importance of goal setting. We're going to explore it way more in our upcoming cycles, but we always want to leave a training session with a moment of reflection, with a moment of goal setting. So in your journal, highly encourage you to write it down on the page 7. Or if you are someone who likes to be creative, there's space if you want to draw it. However it feels like to you in this reflection. But what is one commitment that you are making to support the site commitment that you created? In the next week, what is one thing that you personally are going to do to help design for those moments of belonging at your site? So I'll put on some music, give you about a minute, but write it down, draw it, color it, put words to it. If you finish before the minute is over, turn to someone and tell them what action you're going to be taking. What are you going to do? What are you committed to? A few things. One, I encourage you on your way out to stop and look at what the other sites did. What levers they came up with, what ideas they have, what strategies, what tools, because it might spark something in you. And also this is where that power of community and collaborative learning comes in. That's why we had you write it, that's why we had you put it over there, okay? So take a look at that before you leave. Second, if you have not signed to commit to the group agreements, please do that on your way out the door. It's here on the table. And then I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. I know I'm asking so much of you. This one's quick. I'm going to ask you to fill out an exit ticket. Okay? It should take less than 3 minutes. I'm going to aim for 100% completion. It is anonymous, but we want to know what you took away from this. We want to know what you're still curious about. We want to know how you felt about today's session. Give us honest feedback about what worked, what didn't work, what do you need differently, what would you like to see, what do you want more of. The CSDs and ELCs can hopefully attest to the fact that we really do look at them and we really do use them to shape this space and shape the experiences because we want to make sure that you're getting what you need. Okay? So it should be short and sweet. Next date to know, it's 6 weeks from now, Friday, August 21st is the next time that we are going to be together as a group. We're going to be looking at the power of place, so we're going to get deep into the impact of the physical environment on youth experience. So really looking at that space lever. Lunch will be provided from noon to 1. Again, feel free to come hang. It's a great way to get to know people. As we all know, food is a great design lever. So use that to break some bread with each other. And then CSDs and ELCs, before you leave, please come check in with Kristen and I. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for engaging in conversations. Thank you for rolling through the messiness with us. We didn't know what today was going to feel like in this space. And as we all know, sometimes you write an activity on paper and then you bring it to life and you go, whoa, that did not go the way I planned, right? We experienced that in real time together